Hey guys, as always, thanks for stopping by. So the McCloskeys might be indicted today, and that piece that she carried might not even have been real. Let's talk about that. Today's episode is brought to you by ShallNotComply.com. Apparel for Patriots, by Patriots, huge selection, including in new this week are the new Hawaiian Ear Pro Wraps. Hey, all aboard the Freedom Wagon. Freedom Wagon 1776 is available right now. A new morale patch is in. You know what it is. It's the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. And for all you outdoorsy folks, it's the Right to Bear Arms shirt available now in sizes small through 3XL. I'll put a link right down below over to ShallNotComply.com. Hey, I appreciate, as always, hearing from all of you Patriots. You know what I'm going to say. Every thumbs up is a huge deal. Thanks for all of that. Somebody said yesterday, Johnny, is just a simple comment down below really a help? Yes, it really is. It is a huge help. It helps push through the YouTube algorithm. So stick it to YouTube and leave me a nonsense comment right down below. You'll fit right in. All right, let's talk about the McCloskeys. This has in many ways moved to the forefront of the Second Amendment talks of what's going on right now in our country. They are, in a lot of ways, the poster children of this movement, and watching what's going on in their lives and watching what's going on with their freedoms, because that does have echoes and effects in our lives as well. Y'all know the incident. I won't go through that, but I am going to tell you what's going on today and what we are watching this week and why. And maybe something I think a lot of folks are not talking about is what I led with, how that firearm might not have been real. It's kind of interesting. And then I'm going to send you over to one of Jared's videos as well. So let me get you up to date, and I want to hear what you Patriots have to say. Do want to hear all of your opinions on it. So we're dealing with the ideas of castle doctrine. We're dealing with the Second Amendment. We're dealing with freedoms, and we're dealing with the very reason, one of the reasons why we have the Second Amendment, the right to protect us and ours and our loved ones. Not so much about protecting private property. That is a separate issue. We're not dealing with that today. Don't chase it, but should we use lethal force to protect private property? I know we all have opinions on that, but as far as their personal well-being and protecting, again, their private property, this is an incident that we do need to be paying attention to. Now, the McCloskeys are lawyers. Y'all know that. Their law firm website is back up. The internet crashed it several times, but I went through it today. Learned a little bit more about him. Plus, they are media savvy, especially Mark. He is super media savvy, and he has done the rounds. Y'all have seen them. He was on in my house first thing this morning. I saw him on the news, and he's been talking, and he is very well spoken, so he's in the middle of this. Now, his Colt was taken over the weekend. There was a search warrant that was issued for the McCloskey household. The authorities came in and they took his Colt rifle away from him, and that did make the news. What a lot of folks don't know is her piece, and some people are saying it's a Walther. I think it's a Jimenez. I'm not going to chase that too far. I think it's a Jimenez. But that piece was not in the household. It was being held by their lawyer, and he turned it over to the police as well. So both of the firearms have now been placed into police custody. What's the chances that they ever get those back? Pretty low. But here's what's interesting is now their lawyer has now recused himself. He still is their lawyer, but just not for this case, because he did have one of the pieces that the police, I don't know the legalities of it, but he said he is now recusing himself from representing them in this incident. Now, here's what he said that I think is fantastic, at least is interesting, because she stood down a mob between 300 and 500 people in her yard. They had broken down a gate. There's been people in my comment section saying, you know, it's the right to protest. It's the First Amendment. No, you don't have the right under the First Amendment to tear down a private gate, a 100-year-old wrought iron fence, to go into a neighborhood that is all of it was private property, and come through as a mob and scare the living daylights out of these people who were having dinner. You don't have that right. That's not a First Amendment issue. But they came through, she stood up, and she stood her ground with that Jimenez. I was a little harsh on her for her in a couple weeks ago, because she did wave that thing right by her husband's head. I'm still going to be a little harsh on that. I think people need to be trained. I got backlash saying nobody needs to be trained. That's too expensive. I think we all do. I do. I really do. On some level, we all do need training. However, it is her right to stand there and her right to bear arms. And that I do support unequivocally. But it turns out, according to their lawyer, that firearm was not real. Now, it used to be real, but it had been rendered purposefully inoperable to be able to be used in court cases. At this point, it is a prop or it's what they're using in cases against that manufacturer. Now, their lawyer said it was used in an ongoing case that the McCloskey law firm is involved with against the manufacturer. He didn't say, I think it's Jimenez. There is some Jimenez cases going on right now in Kansas City. Sounds like the right region to me. I don't know. But I do know this, that the lawyer said clearly it was inoperable and unloaded and not able to be used again as a firearm. So at this point, it is a prop. It is a paperweight for someone's desk at this point, and she willingly, knowing that, still stood up to 300 to 500 people, a large crowd who were saying very ugly things to her. That I find fantastic. Now, my question is this. Who is the judge that wrote that signed off on the search warrant? Who did this and why? Like, what is the reason? At this point, we have an activist attorney. It's not an attorney general. They call it a circuit attorney. Kim Gardner. We have a lawyer who is an activist, an aggressive activist, who is pursuing these folks 100% based on political gains for herself. Even the St. Louis Dispatch has released editorial articles saying, hey, this is not going anywhere. All it does is make us feel better to indict these folks. So as of today, it looks like they are going to be indicted. We don't know what laws they broke. It looks like they didn't at all. It looks like it's going to be a political move and a political stunt by Kim Gardner. Now, one of the state representatives in Missouri, his name is Ben Baker, he has written a letter to Kim Gardner to say, hey, you need to resign, and then gives a lot of reasons why. It's very well read. I don't have a copy of that letter, but Jared over on Guns and Gear does. I texted Jared a few minutes ago and told him, hey, I'm going to send folks over there. I'll put a link to Jared's video that just came out a couple hours ago. He has a copy of that letter, and he holds it right in front of his face. Come on, Jared, put that thing to your side. We need to see that good-looking dome of yours. And he does have a copy of that. I think it's worth going over and reading that and hearing what Jared has to say. He is on top of this as well. Now, where do we go from here? Well, we're going to watch. We're going to watch and see what happens to these folks. Again, it has implications for all of us, and I think it absolutely matters. Some folks said, well, they're not part of us. No, they probably don't have Punisher skull tattoos, and they probably haven't been to any rallies lately. They're probably don't vote anywhere close to how you and I vote. Doesn't appear that way. However, that doesn't matter. The Second Amendment is for all. The right to defend ourselves and the right to bear arms is for everyone, and we're watching this thing closely. I want to just mention this. I don't know a ton about the law, but I do know enough to know that an indictment is not the end of the world. It doesn't mean it's going to court. It doesn't mean all that much at all. I also want to watch Kim Gardner and what's going on with her. She has released all of the rioters, I think except for two that were arrested during all those bad days in St. Louis. Has released them all. And St. Louis is a mess. Y'all saw that one dude that punched that older gentleman in the face. Y'all saw that all over a statue. And that's all taking place in St. Louis. I think Kim Gardner has bigger fish to fry, but instead of going after that and people burning stuff in the street, she's going after the McClokseys, who by all accounts were well within their rights and have broken absolutely no laws. Probably some obnoxious people. They're obnoxious lawyers probably. I went through their law firm today, and they're high level ambulance chasers, my opinion. It's the way it seems, but that doesn't mean, and that doesn't revoke their right to protect themselves, and I think that is important. What do you think? Let me know where you stand in all of this. It is a mess, but we are watching all of it. To anyone that is against our rights and our rights to protect ourselves, to any activists that are out there trying to tear down the fabric of America and tear down the fabric of who we are as a society and to take our rights away from us, yep, you know what I'm going to say, from my cold, dead hands.